How to get good at being patient. There is a reason that they say patience is a virtue, because frankly, it is a virtue. It makes life so much better when you're patient in so many ways, because you're not forcing things. It requires less energy. And the best part is you have peace of mind, or at least you have more peace of mind than if you don't have patience. Now, the thing is, how do you become patient? Well, the key to becoming more patient in life is waiting. That's right. It's waiting. Waiting around, waiting here, waiting there. Waiting is how patience manifests itself out in the world. So to get good at being patient, you got to get good at waiting. But the question is, how in the world do you get better at waiting when it seems like you've been waiting probably for a very long time? We've been waiting for a long time for a vaccine for COVID-19. We've been waiting for just all kinds of things right now during this pandemic. And it can get a little rough, and it can try even the most patient of people. And so what I want to give to you today is a little bit of a framework on how to be more patient through becoming better at waiting. And by the way, waiting can have a very bad connotation associated with it. In fact, it can come across as people are being lazy because they're just standing around waiting. It doesn't seem like a very proactive thing to do. And so waiting gets a bad rap. And if waiting gets a bad rap, then how can you become more patient? So open yourself, first of all, to the idea of waiting around a little bit and getting better at it and noticing the impact. Just that alone can make a big difference. But let's get into some hardcore detail actions on how you can become better at waiting and thus a more patient person and really embodying that great virtue. So the first thing is to look at history and look at your faith. Now, if you're not like a faithful kind of person or a religious person, you can look at history or the universe. There are a lot of ways to think about this. But I am Episcopalian, if you didn't know that, and we are in the season of Advent. And Advent is all about waiting. And we get better at waiting because we practice it this time every single year. And waiting on Jesus to come, waiting on the Word of God to come, waiting on Santa Claus to come. These are all things that teach us about the importance of waiting. And by the way, it's easy to forget this throughout the year, but at least we get better at it by practicing it. If I can just remember to do that the rest of the year, man, would I be in good shape. But we do, and I talk about to my child, we're waiting. The beautiful part about waiting is the whole idea of expectation, and how that expectation gives us a lot of momentum, and it can create a lot of positive energy. And there's this idea of delayed gratification. So for like the vaccine, it's kind of hard to apply the idea of delayed gratification because I think we'll be really gratified no matter what once that rolls around. But it just pays, when you're thinking about patience, to look at history and note that generationally, we are not the first people in the world to have to deal with waiting. And so by doing that, it allows us to remember those situations and historical moments where there's a lot of waiting involved and how they got through it, just like we will. Now, the second part of this, second thing you can do is connect with other people that are waiting. In the church communities, this time of year, there's a lot about Advent and waiting. So yes, you can be with other people, but right now the whole world is together in this waiting around for the vaccine. And yes, some people will get the vaccines before others. They won't have to wait as long. But when you're all waiting together, whether that's your family, your friends, your community, it's just easier to wait around. So remembering that you're not alone is also a great way to improve your waiting and growing your patience. And then the third thing is to think about your own life's journey. There are moments in time in our lives when we all had to wait around, and maybe it even felt like nothing was happening. That was the thing that I often have dealt with in my own career and my own business, is that sometimes it felt like nothing was happening. Like I'm waiting around and I'm waiting around and I'm waiting around, and nothing is happening. It's like that old play about waiting on Godot. But the reality is, if I look back, things were happening that I didn't necessarily know about. And my waiting created the space for those things to emerge. And what often happened was things worked out even better than I originally thought they would, simply because I waited. That's right, I waited and I was patient. And when I think about that, I take a deep breath and I relax a little bit and say, hey, just because I don't see things happening doesn't mean things aren't happening. And that I love the idea of assuming that things are unfolding on our own behalf, even if we don't necessarily see or know what those are. And that helps you have more peace of mind. It helps you become more patient and ultimately find a little more peace.